Secretary of State Kerry says that global warming is as big a problem as radical Islamic terrorism. What would you say to the Secretary of State?
That he's crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, Glenn, let's face it, 20,000 years ago, most of Wisconsin was covered by a 20,000-foot thick glacier.
I'd have to ask Tom Carco about that. I think he might have been covering that at the time.
Well, again, 20,000. So there are larger forces at play. Listen, man can affect the environment, no doubt about it. We all want a clean environment. It's a goal we all share. I understand that.
Yeah, but if we have economic development, it's going to
say that. First of all, the climate hasn't warmed in quite a few years. I mean, that is proven scientifically. So that's why they've changed the terminology from global warming to climate change.
Right.
That covers everything. The climate has always changed. It always will. You take a look at things like the Vostok ice core sample out of Antarctica. Basically catalogs 400,000 years of temperature history, and we've had temperature variations 22.7 degrees. Now, men and women, there were some back then. There were men and women 20,000 years ago, but not enough building campfires to produce CO2 to cause those glaciers to recede or to cause those temperature swings. There are greater forces at play. The question is, how much does man cause changes in our environment, potentially our climate, and what could we even possibly do about it? So what we need to do is we need to grow our economy so you have a strong economy so we can actually afford the kind of pollution controls that we all desire so we have a clean environment. I mean, where you don't have a strong economy, look at China, look at India. They are massive polluters because they don't have the type of economic affluence America has. So, again, I go back to the number one component of a solution for all these problems is economic growth, and so much of the policies of this administration, the overregulation, the uncompetitive tax system, I would say the desire to artificially drive up the cost of power makes us less competitive globally, which harms economic growth, which harms your paycheck. So, again, I'll go back to economic growth as the number one solution. I don't think global warming is the number one problem. I would take a look at stagnant wages. I would take a look at the threats of ISIS and our hollowed-out military. But listen, I'm Chairman of Homeland Security Government Affairs. I can talk about other risks as well. Our electrical grid. Much of our infrastructure is vulnerable to cyber attack. That's a huge problem. Our borders are completely unsecure. That's a problem in terms of if we want to fix our immigration system. It certainly is a problem in terms of public health and safety as we see drug-resistant strains of tuberculosis and other diseases coming in this country. And it's a threat to national security. If you're concerned about ISIS operatives coming into America, I'd be more concerned about them coming through our porous southern border than any other method of coming into this country. So we have enormous challenges. We need to start talking about these. We have to start leveling with voters in terms of what these challenges are, and then I would say immediately start talking about the number one component of the solution is economic growth, which we are not even coming close to realizing the full potential of this economy.
So what you're saying is that air conditioning isn't on the level of a threat as the Islamic State?
No.
What are these guys thinking? I mean, what do you think is they talk about how this is defined and decided science, that 97% of scientists agree with climate change that is created by mankind. But when science is decided, it's 100% of scientists. Why do you think that they are so driven to impose these kind of strict regulations and have what now even Bernie Sanders is talking about not just social justice, but environmental justice, as though the environment is a special interest in and of itself?
For some reason, liberals and progressives, socialists, communists want to control everything. They want to control your life. I come from the different ideology, that of our founding fathers, about individual liberty and a limited government. That protects your rights. That provides the type of security, safety. Understands the top priority government is defending this nation and keeping our homeland safe. Again, I can't put my mind into the head of a liberal progressive that wants to tell you what kind of health care to buy, where to send your child to school. I mean, I just don't get that. I actually have faith in people to make those decisions themselves. But the whole climate change debate gives, and there are all kinds of quotes from adherents of and promoters of climate change. The reason they're doing it is it's just such a great opportunity to control, pretty much government and control your lives. I mean, again, I don't know why they want to do it. There's an arrogance of power there. They're utopians. that they really think they can create heaven on earth, and where it's failed in the past, those people like Stalin and Chavez and the Castros, the nutcases in North Korea. By the way, if you want equal results, you'll go to North Korea. You have equal misery. But the arrogance of liberal progressives is that they're just a lot smarter and better angels than the Stalins and the Chavez and the Castros of the world. And if they give them all the control and they control your life, they're going to do a great job of it. Well, it just isn't true. Socialism, communism results in totalitarianism. That results in the murder of tens of millions of people. It always ends in misery. Look what's happening in Venezuela right now. You know, you had Chavez, a great socialist, going to promise all these things to the poor people. Now the poor people are rioting in the streets because they can't get basic foodstuffs. So socialism is a failed economic model. I have no idea why Americans, there's so many of them, are attracted to somebody like a Bernie Sanders, who's just completely wrong in terms of his economic model that he's promoting.